Bonjour et bienvenue sur le site ChampagneJayne.com. G'day and welcome to ChampagneJayneTV. I'm your host, Champagne Jayne. It's royal wedding time. It's the time when everybody's excited about cakes and street parties and God knows what else. And there's a number of champagnes that everybody thinks will be featured in the wedding. Here are my top picks. Now, first and foremost, lovely lemony, citrusy, fresh aperitif style champagne. Very much on the apples and pears register, the beautiful Pol Roger. Pol Roger was the favourite champagne of Winston Churchill, who was Queen Elizabeth's first Prime Minister. So there's no doubt that she was exposed to this early on in the piece. And in fact, Pol Roger has always been used for state receptions and royal receptions. So it's quite likely that we'll see some of this beautiful Pol Roger white foil or its prestige cuvee sibling, which is called Cuvée Sir Winston Churchill, at the royal wedding on April the 29th. The second champagne that I think is likely to feature in the royal breakfast is the beautiful Bollinger. Bollinger was the first champagne to be awarded the Queen's crest in terms of being an official purveyor to Queen Victoria. And of course, Queen Victoria's son was very well known for being a champagne aficionado. And in fact, the name Bolly, the beautiful nickname for lovers of Bollinger, originated from him asking his manservant to get another bottle of the boy during hunting parties. So Bollinger is actually celebrating its 100th anniversary in terms of the special non-vintage bell called Spécial Cuvée. And the Spécial Cuvée was named such by Bollinger's English agent that thought the champagne was far too high quality to just be called a classic non-vintage. So Pol Roger, very much on the citrusy, lemony and aperitif style of champagne, a fabulous reception champagne, which you can find in Dan Murphy's for $55. Bollinger, currently on special at Dan Murphy's for $63. Then, of course, we're going to move now into the prestige cuvées. Krug has always been one of the favourites of the kings and queens of England. And the Krug Grand Cuvée, which is, of course, a multi-vintage blend of all three champagne grape varieties. It's a meal in a glass. It's an incredible experience when you drink Krug. It's like no other champagne. I think this is pretty much likely to be there in the wedding party. This wine is available from Dan Murphy's at $242, so an absolute bargain when you consider the fact that usually you can't find Krug for less than $300. And then last but not least, and in fact something that would go at the beginning of the wedding meals, the most exclusive champagne in the world, Salon. Only 20 vintages in the last century, about 60,000 bottles in each vintage. It's a single grape from a single vineyard, from a single appellation within the Champagne region. It's all pure Grand Cru material. It's a Blanc de Blanc champagne. Eugène Aimé Salon was a furrier from Paris who bought a few vineyards in Champagne to create wines to his own taste to sell to his friends. And this champagne was so popular that the most famous restaurant in Paris called Maxime's decided they wanted to stock it as their house wine in the 1920s. So the first wine was made in 1911. And this champagne now is probably the connoisseur champagne. It's a beautiful, rich, complex. They say about Salon you shouldn't drink it before it's 20 years old. This is actually the 1996, which is a very powerful kind of Cary Grant version of the wine. The 1997, which is currently available in Dan Murphy's for $527, is much more Audrey Hepburn, much more forward and fruity. But both of these champagnes are obviously quite exceptional. So if money's no object, I think Salon will be on the table. Krug will always be part of any British royal celebration, and Pol Roger and Bollinger are obviously the two champagnes to start your royal wedding celebrations with. The Pol Roger obviously is incredibly good value because it's around the $60 mark at Dan Murphy's. They make a couple of million bottles. Bollinger, the same, is also a couple of million bottles, normally sold at a premium, but available again at Dan Murphy's for $63. The Krug is the most talked about but least consumed champagne in the world, and normally available around the $300 plus mark, but currently on special at Dan Murphy's at $242. And then of course we have the Salon, where they only make 60,000 bottles on average for a vintage, so perhaps it's no surprise that this champagne being one grape, one vineyard, one village, is $500 plus. So there's going to be lots of street parties in the UK. Hopefully there'll be some street parties here in Australia as well. Pol Roger, Bollinger, Krug and Salon are definitely the champagnes to drink if you're lucky enough to have a bottle of British bubbles. You can find out more about that on ChampagneJayne.com. But cheers to the happy couple, William and Kate. Many, many congratulations. Happy Champagne Day, and look forward to seeing you again on another edition of Champagne Jayne TV soon. Cheers.